Let's moving to the last talk, and we are going to introduce here my colleague from France, Roman. Here we have the negotiator. How are you doing? We are not hearing you, Roman, or we are hearing, but really, really low. Can you turn up the volume?
Is it better?
Nope.
Okay.
We are hearing you, but really far.
Yeah, can be. And let me switch
Now we are hearing perfectly.
the audio. So this one and this one. It should be better now.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
Cool. Good luck.
Thank you, Joan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this talk, and special thanks to my Agile Coaches colleague as well as Corinne for organizing this conference. My name is Romain Blanco. I am an Agile coach in global capabilities, and aside from work, I love cats, and I'm currently playing on Metroid Dread. Have you ever faced a situation where you talk but not being heard? It might have happened in a political discussion with someone sharing a very different belief than yours, or in work with a colleague that wants to apply a different strategy. Negotiation is about hearing and being heard. But how negotiation and agile are related? First, acknowledge that negotiation is about discussing to reach an agreement. And the Agile Manifesto have 4 values, and we'll see how it's related to those values. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Building together our future is based on individuals and interaction. Responding to change over following a plan. No matter what you will have in mind, you will need to change it. A quote here is that a good negotiator is prepared to be ready for possible surprises, and a great negotiator will use their skills to leverage the surprise they are sure to find. And the elephant is in the room: customer collaboration over contract negotiation. If we pay attention to this one, this value is more related to getting first-hand feedback from the customer rather than staying with the interface, the contract. So we are good to go. Today, I will share with you the essence of this book. And this book is 288 pages. It's more or less 70,000 words. And for me, it represented 311 stickies aggregated in 15 pages of notes. And today, in a bit more than 20 minutes, I will try to share in 10 slides of 3 points each what can be useful for your work in Adevinta and more broadly in life. For the sake of time, the tools will be shared without examples or narration that help to remember. So your doubts and your question are completely legitimate, and they will be welcome in the end of the talk. So without further ado, these are the 3 first tools that will be used in the next slides. The first one is mirroring, repeating what was said. And when you do this, the other will elaborate and sustain the connection process. It has been proven that mirroring is 70% more effective than positive reinforcement. Silences. It gives time to think, and especially after mirroring something key. Just remember to slow it down. If you're too hurry, people will feel it and think that they are not listened. This will have a negative impact on the trust and the relation that you're building. Labeling, putting words on feeling, moving from the impulsive area of the brain to the rational one. Also use this to reinforce the identity. For example, it seems like you're willing the success of the company. Both labeling and mirroring are interesting to do with what is not acceptable for you. Take your time to find a solution together. Negotiation is first a state of mind. It's about the other, not getting wrapped into what their request, what they are asking, and rather focus on their interest, why they asked it. So it's important to separate the people from the problem, because the people you're speaking with are not the problem. They are your ally, your key to solve this problem. Negotiation is about doing things together, because together you will establish a mutual agreement while evaluating the possible solution. This is about cooperating to find win-win solutions, and it's important to keep in mind that negotiation is a process of discovery. Don't commit to assumption, explore hypotheses, and use negotiation to test it. And this is dedicated to all the product manager. Negotiation is a great tool for you. The last set of tool in this slide will be your voice, your voices. Your first voice is the late night DJ FM. The feeling is calm and slow, and it inspires trustworthiness and authority. Your your second voice is positive and playful. This is light and encouraging attitude. It's like, hey, relax, smile, I'm okay, you're okay, and together we'll find a way. And your third tool is the assertive voice that is just direct. We all know how to ask questions, no doubt about it, and this slide is here to bring some interesting conceptualization. They are the calibrated question. You want what the other person wants, but you need their intelligence to overcome the problem, because only them know the solution. Inspired people tend to speak more and share key information for the negotiation. So, as much as you can, ask a question rather than closed-ended questions, because it's more engaging to ask for help. It also works for what questions and sometimes for the why questions. Avoid asking closed-ended questions, because it will give you very little information and people might expect to give them something back. And master the no questions. No questions are very useful, for example, for reinitiating contact. Have you given up on solving this problem? As well, no questions are really useful for removing unspoken barrier. Are you saying that I didn't do what you asked? Going further on the no. Your phone ring. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Yes, I'm already bored, but yes. And rather having, is it a good time to talk? Maybe the person will say no and you will be able to find a good time. Or maybe the people will say definitively no and you will have the possibility to refocus. This is one of the example why it is important, because we are specially trained to be nice, and this can mean, yes, leave me alone, please. Or the same thing can mean nice to meet you. So the following of this slide will help you to be more authentic. It will help you to break the habit of attempting people to say yes. Being pushed for a yes make people defensive. And sometimes our love for hearing yes makes us blind on how people can feel when someone is pushing them for a yes. So just try to train yourself to understand no as I'm not ready to agree. I do not understand. I don't think I can afford it. You're making me feel uncomfortable. I want something else. I need more information. I want to talk about it, but with someone else. No is not a failure. No often means wait or I'm not ready for a yes right now. No is not the end of the conversation, but the beginning. No gives the speaker the feeling of safety, of control, and it starts the conversation leading to the final yes. An early yes is sometimes a cheap dodge. And on the other hand, the no means the speaker is engaged and they're thinking. So go trigger it. How to get a no? You can get a no by mislabeling things. Um, you see here, this is not onions, this is corn. So saying, hey, do you think this is onion? People will say no, and you will have a great start for conversation. You can also say wrong things. Um, um, it seems that you want the project to fail, for example, can be a great thing. And just to keep in mind that no means no go. The reason your counterpart do not want to make a deal with you are more important than the ones they will give you the deal. So first focus on clearing the barrier that can prevent them from making the deal with you. Next set of tools, creating a safe and empathic space. When we see emotions, it activates the area of the brain of fear. And when we label emotion, we use we use the rational part of the brain. So when you see fear, label it ASAP and interrupt people if it's needed. This will reduce the power of fear in the brain, and then you can focus on safety and trust and well-being. Naming negative things before the idea take root on the other head is important. And most of the time, hearing the word sounds exaggerated, and people will be self encouraged to claim that the opposite is true. So, here are two related techniques. There is the accusation audit, that is about listing and saying every terrible thing that could be said about you so that it can't be used against you. And also taking the sting out, labeling what's weak in your topic and argument. Building empathy can be done in different ways, and just remember the first meme of the presentation. People want to be heard and understood. By listening and paying attention, you build human relationship, and sometimes as an extra, it will allow you to extract what you're looking for. So you can use mirroring, you can show interest on asking questions, and you can also put yourself on the other's shoes. It doesn't mean that you agree. It just means that you understand. And one thing that really resonates to me to create this safe and empathic space is to make what I call the fairness call. It's like a statement you can share with the other. I want you to feel like you're being treated fairly all the time. So stop me if at any time you feel like it's not the case, and we'll address it. That's right. That's right is even more important than getting a yes. Going back to something we have seen earlier in the presentation, there is the mirroring that is about repeating what was said. There is the labeling about putting words on feeling. And there is the paraphrase that is repeating using your own word. Ah, so you can summarize by using the paraphrases and label. And it's also important to just let the other the space to talk if they need, and just do minimal encouragement, like simple and short sentences like yes, okay, I see. This last point for me is even more related to agile than any other thing in this presentation. It's like creating an unconditional positive regard about the other because it will lead to the behavioral and thought change. Getting commitment. A yes without a plan is very likely to never happen. So just ask them, how will you know that we are on track? How will we fix it if we are off track? And for each answer you get, keep summarizing the answers until you get the that's right, meaning that you get their buying, their engagement. Also, it's important to identify the key people around the table. A great way to identify them is to ask questions like, how does this affect the rest of your team? What your colleagues see as the main challenge in this area? Last takeaway from this slide is the 7-38-55 rule. 7% of the messages come from the words, 38 come from the voice, and 75 comes from the body language. So don't only focus on the words, but pay attention to what happened with the other person you're speaking with. How to have a better deal. A great way to have a good deal is to start with an accusation audit, acknowledging their fears. So that by doing so, you prepare them for loss, and it will trigger them the loss aversion bias, and they might jump on every chances they have to avoid it. Let's try it together. I promised you something and I will not be able to give it to you. But here is what I say. I have a proposition for you. You're gonna think that I don't know how to budget or how to plan, that I'm a big talker, that I don't even know how to run a project, and even that I might have lied to you. I still want to propose you this before I propose it to someone else. Catchy, isn't it? So this is about anchoring the deal in their emotions. Next thing, deadlines. Make the time your ally. Deadlines tends to make you think getting a deal is more important than getting a good deal, and it's regularly leading people to say things or take decisions that are against their best interest. So revealing deadlines leads to better deals because it's reducing the risk of impasse, and your counterparts know your constraint and will come to the real deal and concession earlier. So just keep in mind that no deal is better than bad deal. Last takeaway from this slide is to make the deal resonate into your counterpart needs. Like the babysitter is selling a relaxing evening, and the locksmith is selling a feeling of security. Advanced tools. Know that you have assimilated all of the previous slides. I have no doubt about it. Let's jump to the exploration. There are three kinds of different information in negotiation. There are the known knowns, the things that we know, like your counterpart name or the current weather. There are the known unknowns that we are certain they exist, but we don't know if it will happen, like the possibility for your counterpart to use a laptop during the meeting, or the weather in 2 months might be rainy. And there are the unknown unknowns, information that we don't even know that we don't know they exist, and it can be a game changer. One example is that your counterpart want the deal to fail because they are leaving for the concurrent. In each negotiation, we can consider that our counterpart have three unknown unknowns that we are able to find and will change the path of the negotiation. So let's use calibrated question to find it. When someone looks or sounds irrational, they're most likely to not be irrational. So search for constraints, fears, or false information. Because when people have bad information, they take bad decisions. Garbage in, garbage out. If people don't get to the common deduction, it's probably because they don't have the common information. So just share your information that leads to your conclusion. Every one of us, as child, wants to believe that we are capable of extraordinary things. And as we grow up, we started hearing more of what is not possible and what we shouldn't do rather than our dreams. And we begin to lose faith and start aging. But when someone display a passion for what we have always wanted and convey a purposeful plan to get here, we just follow. Last slide. Advanced tools, go. There are three types of leverage. There is the positive leverage, that is the ability as a negotiator to provide something to the counterpart. There is the negative leverage, that the ability that we have as a negotiator to make the counterpart suffer, like impacting their reputation. And this relies on the loss aversion. It's really powerful. But when negative leverage is shown, your counterpart may feel like their autonomy is destroyed, and people rather die than lose their autonomy. So they are likely to act irrationally and shut down the negotiation. Just avoid the negative leverage. And keep in mind the paradox of power. The harder we push, the more likely we are to meet a resistance. But what can be the third type of leverage? Normative leverage. Every one of us have their set of rules and moral framework. Normative leveraging is using our counterpart's norms and standards to propose your ideas. And sometimes you might face a situation where your counterpart is not coherent between their action and moral code, and you might want to highlight it because people don't like being called an hypocrite, so they might change their mind. Give the explanation, share the because. There is a famous study about copy line showing this. So in the exact same situation of people making the queue to make copies, asking the question, can I skip the copy line? 64% of the people will say yes. Can I skip the copy line because I'm in a rush? 94% of them will say yes. And let's try it with a completely dumb reason. Can I skip the copy line because I need to make copies? 93% of yes. So let's say it doesn't matter what is your reason, just share it with the people and they are very likely to agree. Let's close this talk. When negotiating, we feel like we fear our counterpart, but do you really think that they are gonna jump from their chair and punch us in the face, especially in the remote work configuration? I can guarantee you that this is very unlikely to happen. What we fear is to disagree. We are afraid that we'll not be able to gather back with our tribe and don't be able to survive in the jungle. This is how our prehistorical brain is wired. It's not our counterpart that scares us, it's conflict. So stop fear conflict, face it. Navigate conflict with empathy. What I hope you have learned today. I hope that you have learned about the first tools like the mirror, the label, or the silence. You have learned to take your time together. You might have discovered some questions type usage. You might have get that no is much more important than yes, then building a safe empathic space is key. That's right, it's something you want to hurt. Getting commitment is important. You have some clue on how to get a better deal, and you have enjoyed the exploration advanced tool as well as the advanced tools for going. All this talk is mainly based on this book in English, but it exists on other languages. I will paste in the chat the link on our marketplaces to get it in French, in German, and in Spanish. And that's it for me. It's now the room for questions.
Cool. Thank you, Roman. Really inspiring. A lot of food for thoughts, to be honest. I was going to ask a question, but I see that Nikki also put something similar for what I was going to ask. So I'm going to go through Igor. Wait a second, because my laptop is blocked right now. Shit. Demo effect, right? Okay, I am unblocked. So Igor asked the question of, could you please give an example of labeling things? I think that you said that at the beginning.
Okay, labeling things. Joanne and I are having an argument, and Joanne is starting to yell at me. And just labeling things can be, hey, Joanne, it looks like you're mad at me. And this is a labeling. Joanne is being mad, but this is kind of a feeling. This is not something that is said, and labeling is putting a word on it.
Yeah, thank you. And let's go for the one coming from Nikki. And did you experiment with the tool? Which is your favorite so far? Great summary of the book, by the way.
As we have seen recently together in our executive coaching training, most of those tools are related to coaching also. So I think that my favorite tool is like using the calibrated questions to build a common pace with the person I'm speaking with.
Okay.
Like I don't know, we want to organize an agile conference. How can we do it? What can be the major challenge we will face?
Okay. Actually, I was also going to ask you, which is the one that you're struggling the most? Saying no, labeling, something that you don't feel comfortable with that?
To be honest, there are a lot of tools that I was not able to put in the presentation time-wise, and these are the ones that I'm struggling the most with because I was the least able to speak about it.
Wise, very wise. We have a question from Natalia. Great work, Roman. Silence, labeling, and paraphrasing can be uncomfortable to some people. How will you use them on the right balance?
I think that if you have already a great relationship with the person, it might be interesting to label the fact that the person is somewhat uncomfortable with the situation, like doing a silence, and if it doesn't work in the beginning, saying, hey, it looks like you're uncomfortable with the silence. Why is this? And maybe you will be able to build a better future together with this person, and finding alternative solution, or maybe having a different perspective on, let's say, why the silence is uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, and I think that definitely don't put funny voices when you're paraphrasing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So we are running out of time. There's no more questions. So thank you very much, Roman, for being with us here.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. And for the rest, thank you for being here one more day in the Agile conference. And see you tomorrow at 10. Bye.